Okay guys, we're back out here again with another episode of my project truck, Ray, and I have a good friend here, Corey. He's from Infinite Fab Works, and he's brought some interior safety products that we're gonna install in the truck. We're gonna also install my seats from Sabelt and harnesses, steering wheel, side mount brackets, all that stuff. So we're gonna dive right into it and get inside the truck. We're gonna have Corey talk to us a little bit about his seat brackets. So here we go. You guys have seen me use Sabelt seats and steering wheels and harnesses in the past, and this time is the same. I went with a little bit cheaper seat. It stuck to the budget a little bit tighter and got the GT3 seats. Now these are available in a few different sizes. I've got the largest here, which are meant for a guy about my size, which is 5'8". Yeah, I'm 5'8". Yeah, you could probably be 5'8 to 5'10", under 6 foot tall and under 200 pounds, this size would be good. Anything bigger than you have to get into the XL seats. But I've had these before and sold these before to other people's customers, and I was a big fan. And for honestly the price, they're a really good seat. So we're gonna get them in the truck along with their aluminum side brackets, which will save us a little bit of weight. Steel Enduro Series seat belts, black pull-up saloon, so it's 2-inch wide belt. Corey's here, and he brought, what do you tell him what you brought?
Yeah, we've developed a low mount seat belt bracket that utilizes the majority of your factory bench seat mounts, and then you only have to drill one additional hole that also comes with a 11 gauge pinch plate to reinforce the sheet metal where that bolts. And then the other benefit besides the easy of install and the low rise on the mounting location is we offer 3 other points to mount your lower section of your 5-point harnesses if you're running a 5-point or 4-point harness. And you're not drilling any other additional holes or having to source washers and pinch plates and all that to mount your seats and your 5-point harnesses.
The thing that is the coolest to me is that there's so much slot in the mounting hole sideways. Because a big thing to me is getting the seat in front of the steering wheel. Like the stock seats in these OBSs, if you ever sit in like one of the factory buckets, the steering wheel's off to your right. So I'm excited to get these in and kind of try to center my seat up.
And it also, you know, depending on, like you said, if you're a smaller guy and you got a narrower seat, or you have to go up to like an XL or a bigger seat, sometimes the adjuster plates don't have enough adjustment in the plates, so we tried to add a little bit of extra in the mount itself, so that way adjustment's always great. Wherever you can add it always makes install easier and always makes versatility a lot more prevalent when you can kind of tweak things to your needs.
Yeah, these are awesome. I'm really excited about this. I did a little bit of searching for OBS seat brackets just to see what else is out there, and there isn't anything.
No, I mean, you can get your standard 3/16 plate ones that a lot of the seat companies which work great for a street truck, but then you're still left, if you want to do harness bars, you're still left with having to drill additional holes. And these also look pretty cool too.
I love that they're low.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I will say, and we'll find out when we go to mount them later, the lowness does kind of add to a little bit of difficulty. That's probably the most difficult part of the install, is because you almost need to mock up your locations and your bolting and then bolt the whole assembly together on a bench and then set it in as one unit. But because it uses all the factory mounts, when it's all together, you can change out both seats in 30 minutes or less with minimal tools. Pretty simple.
All right, so we got seat brackets, and then what's in this box?
This is our harness bar kit for the OBS. It also tries to utilize as much of the factory holes that are available. You do have to drill 2 additional holes. It works independent of our seat bracket, but it works the best with our seat bracket because then you still get your 3 lower points.
I love that you can build and ship a harness bar in one box like this.
Yeah, it was kind of
it's modular.
Trying to make everything, it is kind of a heavy box and a bigger box, but trying to make it break down, kind of get that.
Well, we've thought about doing harness bars in the past, and like that's the big hurdle is how do you build a harness bar and then we gotta ship it on a big pallet?
Yeah, that breaks. So to try to get something that breaks down, this here, this is a center brace, which we'll show. These are the only 2 holes you have to drill, but we tried to make it easy by having a bolt plate that's welded, so that'll actually reinforce the floor, and it actually goes in a spot where the factory has additional sheet metal welded in place. So you got triple the support for this mount, and this helps kind of tension and carry some of the forward load if you were to get in an accident. And then you have these mount your lower part of your seat bracket, and these actually mount to where your seatbelt retractor would normally be, or they actually work on top of the existing seat bracket. So you have this will actually go to your upright bar, and then here's another location to mount your seatbelt to.
Okay, cool.
For your side. And they are identical, so if you have a wider seat and you need to have the mount wide, or you want it narrow because you don't want to obviously have your belt stretched out too far, you want to keep all your optimal angles on your belt mounting. That'll kind of help you that. And there's 2 of those in each kit. And as you see, all the kits come with every fastener you need, and they're all grade 8 fasteners.
Already, I'm happy with this because you don't have this much bolt hanging out the nylock nut.
We try to size everything where you can start hanging out, you snag it on things, it just looks ugly too.
Yeah.
All of our kits we'll have instruction manuals, but we try to put everything where it belongs. Okay. Just so there's no question on how it assembles.
Oh yeah, so you kind of like mock it up a bit for people. Yeah.
That way, if you can figure out where the part goes, you don't have to figure out what fastener. There's no fastener A goes in hole C. It's all laid out pretty simple. The whole point of this is to try to make something that's not just functional, but also is really simple to install. These here, there's 2 of these in each kit. These will actually be the center support bar, which you'll see later. This actually goes in here and goes out to a mount on the harness bar. It's a left and right thread Heim, so that way once it's in, you can tension them it helps take all the rattle out. These are all PTFE Heims, so there's very little noise, but in case you have any type of rattle, you can actually tension the bar just to kind of make it feel a little more rigid, a little more solid.
Yeah, these are nice. All TIG welded, powder coated.
Yep, everything that we sell is TIG welded. We don't make any of our products. There's nothing wrong with it, but honestly, it saves a little bit of cleaning, and it just makes a better looking product, and it doesn't take that much more time. So even the seat brackets, every bit of the seat brackets, TIG welded, and we bend, cut, and fabricate everything in-house. None of it's outsourced, so we control the quality to the best of our abilities at that point.
So you want to put this in first?
Probably we can actually get that hanging. It does not, there's no certain order. Okay. Seat brackets do make it a little easier because this has to sit on top.
Okay.
So we'd have to swing it out of the way, but you can do it at any order.
All right, let's put it in.
That's the only one you gotta drill. Okay. Yeah, because usually there's no hole. And what actually this one coincidentally lines up with the heat shield knockout that's in the bottom. There's a heat shield under a lot of these, and there's actually an oval knockout on the muffler side, and it lines up right with that, so you can knock that out to get to bolt the bolt plate in. Sliders and stuff, trying to get your nuts and bolts and all that on while it's in here, it gets a little tricky. That way it's good to put a bolt or 2 in, set the seat in, or set the base in, get your side plates on your seat, set it, kind of get a rough idea where you want it to live, especially if you're not using sliders. It's even more important to get the position right. Okay. And then pull it out, table assemble it if necessary to make it a little easier.
What are these for?
These are additional spacers that we just include in the kit, because if you have a wider seat, sometimes on the passenger side, you have to space like your slider, your seat base up.
For here?
Yeah, over there or on top of your slider. It's just an additional piece. We ran into it on a wider seat, and we figured we're trying to make the kits we'd rather have extra parts in a kit than you go to do the install and need more, especially for somebody that doesn't have the fabrication skills or has like a parts store or something where they can find odds and ends. So it's just an additional spacer that you can use.
So if you guys have ever tried to like mess with getting bolts into carpet, one little trick that Dylan and I figured out is, like the edge might hang over and catches the threads.
And then your bolt doesn't want to start, and then you get frustrated at why it's...
Carpet smoke. Green space.
Is this a new nut for back here?
Yep, that is a new nut. Okay. This included in every kit, and there should be an additional washer in there.
I did save that. So that's where the factory seat belt went, right?
Yep, that's the factory receiver for when you had the bench. We figured GM spent a bunch of money engineering and pull testing all these locations, so why not take advantage of it?
Absolutely.
And it gives you that peace of mind.
Oh, I have a hole there.
Somebody already drilled one.
Yeah. Well, you know what I think it's from? Putting the, they put 454 SS buckets there. Ah. That's probably why it's there.
And I bet you that's why that heat shield hole's there too, is for the 454 buckets.
Yeah.
So most people that get this kit won't actually have a hole there already. So what you would do is you would set this down, start your bolts just to make sure everything's gonna bolt down, and then like Jesse did, burn a spot in the carpet and then drill a 1/2-inch hole. And then you can actually lay on the ground and one guy can hold the plate and start it. But if you have a buddy, this goes on the bottom side of the floor and fits in the channel, and then you bolt it down that way. And you could tack this on if you want, but it's not necessary.
Yeah, I think that when I remember pulling the buckets out, I think that they had put those plates there and there.
Okay. Yeah, them are definitely not usually there.
Yeah.
Hey, I want to interrupt this video real quick to welcome some of you that may be new to the channel that don't know exactly who Level 7 Motorsports is. Who we are is a company that builds vehicles for a living, and over the last 6, 7, 8, 9 years, we've kind of honed in our niche, which is building trucks. We do a lot of pro touring trucks, and specifically autocross, road race, kind of dual purpose vehicles. Now we've kind of developed an e-commerce website that has a largely curated selection of parts that you guys could browse through to choose from, all types of different parts. The harness bar and the seat brackets that you see in this video are available on our website. We do have those here. A ton of other stuff, EFI systems, steering wheels and wiring harnesses and rear ends and suspension packages, brake packages, manual brake packages. All kinds of stuff that you guys may need for your pro touring truck build is available on our website. So if you have a second, hop on over there, check it out, browse around a little bit, and maybe even grab some merch while you're there. Thanks a lot. Back to the video.
We're just gonna play around with these and see where this works out the best.
If it's someone's first time installing buckets, is there any information that they would want to know of, like how far back you want it set, or is it all based on
So it's definitely subjective. There are some guys that really like their elbows, they're like this part of their arm to be at 90 degrees to the wheel. I don't like to be that close. I like to be set back just a little bit, but it's all more or less, in my opinion, about what's comfortable. When it comes to doing the harnesses, then there's some very specific rules we need to follow for safety, but putting the seat in my opinion, is just really kind of getting comfortable.
We offer a steel kit, a steel bracket. It's got a large amount of adjustability in it to give you width, and then also forward and back adjustment. But
shoot, I could have used those.
No, them are fine too.
I didn't even see those there.
Some sliders don't line up, so this also allows for a wider variety, from an Amazon slider to a Recaro slider, one of the other sliders. It just try to, like we said with the harness bar, just allow the most amount of versatility, universal mounting, depending on if you already have seats, you already have sliders, but don't have the mounts or have a different mount system. That way you don't have to rebuy a bunch of stuff. Like this whole video Jesse's doing is trying to keep people from buying things multiple times. That's kind of the mindset when we design stuff, is to try to work with as much existing stuff you may have or the factory already uses. So
is that a separate, like?
That's a separate, yep, there's a separate part number that you can order, and it comes with fasteners also, in case your seat kit didn't come with them or any of that. So our kits usually come with fasteners.
Dude, look at this, man. Dude, the seating position is so good. Maybe that's the ricer in me, but I really like my seats low.
Yeah, well, and then with the shifter, that's going to be almost like an arm.
Yeah. My feet feel perfect. I'm gonna have to shorten my column. Because this was a guess, though. This has nothing to do with the seat. The seating position feels good. That's much better. Now you feel like you're actually driving something. See, a lot of guys like this, like a perfect 90 in their arm. They like that. I just like to have it a little bit farther away from me. This is really good.
We'll get one side in of the harness bar that way, and then we'll get the whole thing hanging, because it's obviously long enough you really can't slip it behind the seat. But it's how we made this. The long side goes to the inside, and the bar was made to go behind the bracket and actually encapsulate. That way, if you get in a wreck, it's pulling forward and pulling through the bar, instead of having just a tab off of here where it will twist, and it puts the load on both sides of the bar to help keep it from wanting to twist. If you were to have to need it in an accident.
So does that go up where the seat belt used to go?
This will go. We got another spacer getting designed. It'll be a stainless spacer, but currently this spacer goes in here. This will allow you to clear the plastic.
Okay.
And then this uses the factory weld stud that's already in there, and then this end goes in the bracket that we have sitting in there loose right now.
Very cool.
You can actually probably snug that down just a little closer. So, because this does kind of get where a swivel makes tightening that down final a little easier, but then we'll leave it, let it kind of flop a little bit as we get the bar in and lined up. We won't snug everything until it's actually installed. A little snug, just, and these both ends are threaded, so you can actually move the bar up and down and kind of fine tune it in. If it's not lining up just perfect, just do a half a thread on either end, pull the bar out, spin the whole bar, or just turn down here, whatever works best. And then there's that. And then what we'll do is, before we get the other side in, just to allow us to snake the bar in behind it easier, get the other bracket, the other bar hanging, and the bar in. Leave it a little loose just till we get everything in and happy. Plus, leaving the passenger seat out does help make, when we have to drill the holes here.
Oh yeah.
It makes it a little easier. So that should go up behind it and slide in between those mounts. And may have to take the bolt out of the bottom. It may be a little snug.
Yeah, it's just a little too tight.
I got this.
Gosh, that's nice.
I'm going to do, it looks like this needs to go down just a little. Maybe. Center, this is for the harness bar. These are the only two holes you actually have to drill that doesn't use factory locations. Luckily, there's a pretty big threshold of where it can mount and where it can't mount. There's just a general area, and then you can kind of tighten and loosen these bars to move the mounting bracket where you want it before you bolt it in. Gives you a good bit of clearance so you don't have any squeaking.
So from the looks of this, you could still run like the factory console?
That I'm not entirely sure, to be 100% honest with you. We haven't encountered a vehicle that had one. We actually, in RNC Hot Rods, a white OBS that we built last year, we actually made an aluminum center console for it that held a fire extinguisher there and had like a cup holder and a switch panel, kill switch, all that. I'm not 100% sure if the factory one will fit or not. We haven't had one to
test it.
Yeah. Everything we put in was bench.
Gotcha.
Now, if it was a bench one, obviously it probably should, but
yeah.
In just all transparency, I haven't experienced that to confirm or deny.
Yeah, that is not a guarantee, folks.
No, we like to design and start offering a center console just for people that do daily.
Gotcha.
Or drive their trucks more than just at an autocross event.
Yeah, if they wanted to go on a power tour or something.
Yeah, and you have a cup, at least have some cup holders and stuff. Yeah, since these are both a right and left, and actually just because I'm OCD, on all Heims, usually the nut and the tube nut are marked with a line if it's a left-hand thread. I wasn't paying attention when I started this one and I did a left and right upside down. It really doesn't matter, but it kind of bothers me. So we will flip that so they match. While we're kind of in this area and getting this laid out, another thing you notice is the Infinite Fab logo. These fastener holes are actually they got a weld nut for a fine thread 5/16, and the spread on them uses a Scott Drake quick detach fire extinguishers bracket. So if you have one of those already or want to get one to mount a stubby fire extinguisher between the seats, that is already pre-set up for that. It'll come with an infinite plate. If you wanted to buy that from whoever sells them here, they will bolt right to that. In your factory floor, there's a humped up section right here. What you really want to do to place this, because underneath the floor right here, there's actually a 14 gauge, I believe it's 14 gauge, spot welded panel that's a factory reinforcement that's already in the chassis. So we like to kind of have these where you kind of want to move it back about a ½ inch off that hump and then kind of center it. The hump isn't centered on these vehicles, so you kind of want to center it to the harness bar. And I guess you'd use like the dome light or kind of eyeball in the window opening. And then once you kind of twist these, you can loosen and tighten. And as you move that, it'll actually move the bracket right to left and front to back. And once you get it kind of where you're happy, then you can take like a hot chisel like we were doing on the other holes, and you can mark your holes and then slide this out of the way and drill them through. Does that look centered to you? Not on the hump, but kind of on the window as far as the bottom? Yeah. Okay. It definitely hit the doubled metal, which is good. And this is the only part you kind of got to have a friend for, unless you have really, really, really long arms.
Reach all the way.
Is holding this plate, but only need a tool on the top side. Top holes are slotted and the bottom's not, so if you don't go quite big enough on the, I get a socket so I can turn it a little better to get it started. You can actually put a little
tension on it.
Tension on it.
That way it won't be rattly either.
Yep, and then before you tighten your bolts down, you got a little tension. If you got a little bow, you can always push it up, pull it down, get it flush in the window. And then from there, now that everything's in and all the nuts are started, we can start cinching down most of the bolts. But we probably want to take and get this seat so this can slide underneath that bracket now that we know this is all
okay, cool.
fit. Unless you think we can, because we got to waller that hole.
Yeah, and I'm gonna move that. I'm gonna pull that one back out and move it back one more hole.
Okay.
All right, guys, I'm gonna end this one right here. It may seem a little bit abrupt, but what happened was we went and got some Mexican food on lunch, maybe had a margarita, but then we came back and we started hammering out on the suspension system for the truck. So where you saw it end is kind of where it ended for the day. I do have harnesses that I'm gonna install, so I think what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna throw together another video that shows exactly how you should install your racing harnesses, the rules that I talked about that need to be followed when installing harnesses, and then we're gonna get my steering wheel exactly in the spot that we need. But I think maybe before you see that video, wrapping up that stuff, you're gonna see the video of all the rear suspension stuff that we finished. Anyways, thank you guys so much for watching as always. We'll see you when we do the rear suspension.